Under the green sky of planet Nuvora, the human research base floated quietly above the thick alien jungle. The air shimmered with strange pollen, and the leaves below glowed in faint blue inside Laboratory 4. Lieutenant Mason leaned over a glass tube filled with bright liquid. He whispered to himself, checking the readings again and again. "This serum can make any plant grow 10 times faster," he said with a grin. It was supposed to help the colony grow food faster, not cause trouble. Behind him, an alien girl named Zira tilted her head. Her silver skin reflected the lights, and her long white hair moved slightly like feathers. Zira was a Thalrian, a tall, plant-based alien species who worked with humans in research. She had always been curious about human inventions, but Mason never imagined how curious. When Mason left the lab for a few minutes, Zira touched the glowing container. She looked around, whispering, "Human drink this every morning?" She thought it was something humans used to stay strong. Her people believed humans were fearless because of strange potions. Without thinking, she lifted the flask and took a sip. At first, nothing happened. Then her body started to warm. Her heart beat faster. Her chest began to glow faintly, and suddenly she gasped, clutching herself. The glowing areas began to swell, and she froze in shock. What is this?" she cried out. Mason came running back, almost dropping his data pad. His eyes widened. "Zira, what did you do?" I only tasted it," she shouted, hiding behind the counter. Her skin shimmered brighter, and her upper body, specifically 2 round shapes that Thalrians used to store plant nutrients, had grown noticeably larger. The air filled with glowing pollen as her body radiated more energy than ever before. "Oh no," Mason muttered, rushing to grab the medical scanner. "That serum wasn't meant for living tissue." "You said it was for plants," she yelled back, her voice trembling. "And I am part plant." He tried to calm her down, holding up his hands. "Don't panic. Just stay still." But Zira was already blushing from head to toe. Her bioluminescent skin made the redness even more visible. It looked like she was glowing pink, and that only made her more embarrassed. She covered her chest with her long hair, glaring at him. "Human, you are wicked. You made me look like a fruit balloon." Mason almost laughed, but quickly stopped himself. He activated the scanner. "Zira, listen to me. Your body is reacting to the serum. It's increasing your nutrient cells, like overcharging them." "So you mean I'm going to explode?" She gasped, eyes wide. "No, I hope not," he said nervously, glancing at the data. "You're stable for now. But your energy level is off the charts." Zira sat down, hiding her face. "Everyone will see, everyone will laugh," she whispered. Mason felt guilty. He had worked with her for months, always teasing her for being too serious. But now she looked fragile, confused, and furious. "I'll fix it," he promised. She looked up sharply. "You better, or I will feed you to the root beast." Just then, the lab door slid open. 2 other scientists, both humans, entered, stopping mid-step when they saw Zira glowing and covering herself. One of them dropped his mug, coffee splashing everywhere. "Mason," the man said slowly, "why is your assistant shining like a festival light?" Mason sighed. "It's a long story." Zira turned away, muttering. Humans are all cursed with madness. By the end of the day, everyone on the station had heard the rumor. The alien assistant who drank human plant serum and grew extra fruits. Some laughed, some whispered, and a few Thalrians from nearby labs peeked in, just to confirm if the gossip was true. Zira locked herself in the storage room. Refusing to come out, Mason knocked gently on the door. "Zira, please, let me talk. Go away." "Human," she said, her voice muffled. "I hate you. I hate your strange science." He sat outside, leaning against the wall. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he said softly. "I was just trying to help the colony." There was silence, then a quiet sigh from inside. "It is not just embarrassment," she said. "My body feels different. My energy is too much." "And what do you mean?" Mason asked. "When I move, the plants around me react. They open, bloom faster, even without sunlight." That caught his attention. "Wait, you mean you can make plants grow just by being near them?" "Yes," she whispered. "I am scared, human. What did you do to me?" Mason stared at the door, realization slowly forming in his mind. The serum was never supposed to bond with alien DNA, but Zira's species was not fully understood. Her biology might be merging with the serum on a deeper level, creating a connection between her and Nuvora's ecosystem. He stood up, determination in his voice. "Zira, listen. I think something incredible is happening. This might not be a curse, it might be evolution. Evolution? She repeated, opening the door slightly, her glowing face peeking through. Yes, he said, smiling gently. You might be the first Thalrian to bridge human science and alien nature? Zira frowned, unsure if she should feel proud or furious. Then why does it make me look like this? Mason chuckled nervously. Every great discovery comes with side effects. She glared at him again, but this time there was a tiny smile hiding behind her anger. If you tell anyone about this, human, I will personally bury you under the vines. Deal, he said quickly. Raising his hands outside, the stars of Nuvora shone through the station's glass roof. Zira sat near the window, glowing faintly as she watched the jungle below. She could feel the heartbeat of the planet now. Slow and powerful, something inside her whispered soft, ancient and alive, and for the first time, she wondered if that accident was not really an accident at all. Something bigger was awakening beneath the alien soil, and she was somehow part of it, but right now she only sighed, crossing her arms, still red from embarrassment. Stupid human, she muttered. Why did it have to be my coconuts? By the next morning, the entire station was buzzing like a beehive. Every hallway, every lab, every mess hall whispered the same rumor. The human made a Thalrian girl's coconuts grow 3 sizes overnight. It didn't matter how Mason tried to explain the science. Everyone already had their own version, and none of them were kind. Zira refused to leave her quarters. The door lights glowed red and locked. Sealed and silent inside, she sat with her arms crossed, cheeks glowing pink and blue under her silver skin. Her hair covered most of her body, and her long ears twitched in frustration. She could still hear the humans laughing outside. The sound carried easily through the metallic walls. Mason stood outside her door for the 5th time that morning, tapping the metal gently. Zira, come on. I brought you your favorite nectar tea. Go away, human, she replied sharply. You humiliated me before all species, he sighed, leaning against the wall. It was an accident, yes. Accident, she mimicked sarcastically. Like every human disaster in history. The door finally hissed open a few inches. 2 bright eyes stared at him, glowing like twin moons. She didn't look angry anymore, just exhausted. They laugh when I walk, she whispered. Even the vine drones look at me. Mason couldn't help a small grin. Zira, vine drones don't have eyes. They sense judgment, she said flatly, closing the door again. That moment, the communication speaker on the wall crackled. Lieutenant Mason, report to Central Hydro Lab, he sighed, straightening his jacket. Zira, please stay calm until I get back, all right? I will stay calm, she said, right after I strangle you with roots. In the Hydro Lab, Commander Holt stood waiting, arms crossed. A few alien scientists surrounded a set of glowing vines, all moving unnaturally fast. Lieutenant, explain why these plants are growing out of control, the commander demanded. Mason blinked. That's impossible. The serum was contained. An alien botanist, with blue skin and leaf pattern tattoos, interrupted. They started growing when the Thalrian assistant passed near the corridor this morning. Mason froze. Zira was near the hydro corridor? Yes, the botanist said, and every plant she passed by bloomed in seconds. Mason's heart raced. He realized this wasn't just a side effect. Zira had become a walking energy source. Her body was radiating power strong enough to awaken alien flora. Back in her room, Zira stared at her reflection. The glow under her skin pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. She placed her hand on the window and watched as the vines outside the station began to twist toward her direction. It scared her, but deep inside she felt connected, like the planet itself was whispering to her. Suddenly, Mason burst in, panting. Zira, you didn't tell me you went outside. I needed air, she said coldly. Humans were staring at me like I was an experiment. He ignored her tone, staring at the faintly glowing trails her feet left behind. You're affecting everything around you. I told you, she said. Looking down, I feel the plants, I hear them. What do they say? Mason asked carefully. They call me Bloom, she said softly. They say I must awaken. Mason swallowed hard. Zira, I think you're channeling energy from Nuvora's core. That's not possible, she replied, shaking her head. Only the high roots could do that, and they are myths. Maybe not anymore, he said quietly. As they spoke, the lights flickered. A soft hum vibrated through the walls, and the station trembled slightly. Through the observation window, Mason saw glowing waves ripple through the jungle below. Trees bent, and the soil glowed with faint blue lines that pulsed toward the horizon. "Is that because of me?" Zira asked, terrified. He didn't answer immediately. "If it is, then—" "This planet is reacting to you." Her lips trembled. "Then I am a monster." "No," he said quickly. "You're a miracle." But not everyone saw her that way. That night, a group of Thalrian guards came to the human quarters. Their leader, a tall alien with golden markings, glared at Mason. "You have done enough damage." "Human," he said coldly. "Your experiment has awakened something sacred, and now our elders demand answers." Mason tried to reason with him. "We didn't mean to cause harm. You tampered with our bloodline." The alien snapped. "And she, your assistant, is now a danger to us all." Zira stepped out from behind Mason. Glowing softly in the dim light, her voice was calm but heavy. "Do not speak as if I am not here." The guard looked uneasy. "You should not exist in this form." "Then perhaps your ancestors should have warned me before giving me this body," she shot back. Mason stood between them. "Enough, this isn't helping." The guard pointed at Mason. "Tomorrow the elders will summon both of you," and left. His eyes filled with fear more than anger. After they were gone, silence filled the corridor. Mason finally looked at Zira. "They're scared." "I am scared too," she whispered. "I don't understand what's happening to me." Mason smiled softly. "Maybe it's not about understanding. Maybe it's about what you'll do with it." Zira turned toward the window again, the planet glowing below. Her reflection shimmered beside Mason's. "You humans," she said quietly, "you create chaos wherever you go." He chuckled. "And you aliens make it beautiful." She blinked at him, her blush glowing faintly brighter. "You are impossible," he smiled, "and yet you're still talking to me." For a long moment, they stood together in silence. The station lights dimmed. The jungle below pulsed with strange life, and far in the distance a low, deep rumble echoed from beneath the planet's surface. Zira didn't know it yet, but that was the sound of something ancient waking up, drawn to her heartbeat, and for the first time, she wasn't just embarrassed, she was afraid of what she was becoming. The next morning, the research station above Nuvora was silent. But it was not peace, it was fear. The jungle below glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. And everyone knew something was wrong. Mason couldn't sleep. He kept staring at the holographic monitor showing energy waves moving across the planet. Each pulse matched Zira's heartbeat pattern. He rubbed his eyes and whispered, "She's connected to the planet somehow." When he entered the lab, Zira was already there, sitting quietly near the hydro tanks. The glow from her body was softer now, but her eyes looked tired. "You came early," Mason said carefully. "I did not sleep," she replied, her voice low. "When I close my eyes, I see roots deep under the ground moving. Calling to me," he frowned. "What do they say?" "They whisper, awaken the bloom again and again." He sat near her, keeping a small distance. "Zira, last night's tremor wasn't random. The planet reacted to you. If we can measure the frequency—" She interrupted him. "I am not your experiment anymore." Her tone was sharp, but her hands were trembling. "I don't know what's happening to me. Human, but I am scared." Mason nodded softly. "I know, I just want to help you, not study you." She looked at him for a long time, her glowing eyes searching his face. "You humans always say that. But it always ends with someone in a cage," he sighed. "I won't let that happen. I promise." There was silence for a while, then she whispered, "I can feel your heartbeat too." He blinked, surprised. What do you mean?" "When you stand close, I feel your pulse through the air," she said quietly. "It matches the rhythm of the planet now." Mason swallowed, unsure how to answer. He just looked at her. An alien girl glowing faintly in the dim lab light, her hair floating slightly like underwater silk, and for a moment the fear inside him mixed with wonder. Suddenly the intercom buzzed. "Lieutenant Mason, report to Elder Hall immediately." The voice was deep and serious. Zira stood. "They have summoned us," Mason frowned. "They won't harm you, right?" She gave a sad smile. "Elders do not need to harm. Their words can cut deeper than any weapon." The Elder Hall was an ancient part of the station, half built from Thalrian crystal and half from human steel. The floor shimmered with root veins that glowed softly beneath their feet. In the center sat 3 Thalrian elders, tall and majestic, their eyes white like pearls. One of them spoke. Human Mason, your experiment broke the natural code. Mason stepped forward. It was an accident. An accident that awakened the bloom. The elder hissed. Do you understand the danger? The bloom connects to the heart root, the core of Nuvora. Zira bowed her head slightly. Elder, I hear the call of the roots. I do not wish to. But it will not stop, the elders whispered among themselves. The air grew heavy, the middle elder finally said. If the planet has chosen you, then the cycle has begun again. Mason frowned. Cycle? What cycle? The elder turned to him. The last bloom nearly destroyed our world thousands of years ago. The connection between one Thalrian and the planet's core was too strong. It burned the land, drowned the forests, and silenced the roots for centuries. Mason's heart sank. So you think Zira will cause that again? If her bond is not controlled, yes, the elder said. And your human technology may have accelerated it. Zira looked at Mason, eyes full of fear. You see? I am dangerous, he shook his head. No, you're not if we find a balance. The elders were unconvinced. Balance? Between human chaos and nature's order? Impossible. But Mason didn't back down. You said the last bloom failed because it was alone. Maybe this time she's not alone. The elders grew silent. The oldest one finally said, If you truly believe this, then prove it. Take her to the Temple of Roots. It lies deep in the jungle. The planet will decide her fate. Zira's glow flickered nervously. If the planet rejects me, then you will be consumed, the elder said simply. After the meeting, Zira walked beside Mason in silence. The jungle loomed below the glass floor, full of light and shadow. You should leave, she said quietly. Humans are fragile. You will die down there. He smiled slightly. Maybe, but someone has to go with you, she frowned. Why? Because I started this, he said, and because I care. Zira stopped walking, her eyes wide. The faint pink glow on her cheeks returned. You care for an alien who nearly destroyed your station? He nodded. Yeah, I guess I do. Her expression softened for a moment before she turned away quickly, hiding her face. You humans are strange. You say dangerous things so easily. That night, the two of them prepared for the journey. Mason packed a small power core, data scanners, and a few rations. Zira didn't need much, only the natural energy that surrounded her. But she stood by the window again, her glow reflecting on the glass. The planet pulsed like a living being beneath her feet. She whispered softly, If I die down there, will the planet live? Mason, standing behind her, said, We're not going down there to die. We're going down to find out who you really are. The jungle below waited. Dark and alive, its leaves shimmered with unseen eyes. Its vines moved slightly as if they already knew who was coming. And as the two figures prepared to descend, the entire research station dimmed for a moment. Lights flickered, systems trembled, and deep under the soil, something ancient shifted. A heartbeat that matched hers. Growing stronger, louder, and closer, Zira closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Mason, she said quietly, if I lose control, you must run. He smiled softly. If you lose control, then I'll just have to stop you myself. She turned to him, her voice trembling. How? He looked into her glowing eyes. I'll remind you who you are. For a long moment, neither spoke. The sound of the engines hummed softly, and beyond the window, lightning danced through the alien clouds. The journey to the Temple of Roots would begin at dawn, and neither of them knew that once they entered that jungle, they would never be the same again. Zira touched the glass once more, feeling the pulse of Nuvora. The planet whispered her name, and she whispered back softly, I am coming. The dropship shook as it entered the thick green clouds of Nuvora. Mason gripped the control bar while Zira stood beside him, calm but glowing faintly in the dim light. The planet's heartbeat was stronger here, deep and heavy, pulsing through the ground and the air. Mason felt it even through his boots, like the entire world was alive and watching them. When the ship landed, the jungle surrounded them like a living ocean. The trees were enormous, their leaves the size of sails, glowing faint blue. The air was warm and smelled of wet soil and strange flowers. Zira stepped out first, her feet sinking into the soft moss. Immediately, the plants around her moved, vines curling gently toward her as if welcoming her home. Mason followed, scanning the air with his wrist device. Energy levels are insane here, he said. It's like standing inside a power core. Zira didn't answer, her eyes half closed, listening. The voices are louder now, she whispered. They want me to go deeper, he frowned. Can you tell why? They call it the heart root, she said softly. The place where life began. They walked through glowing ferns and streams of silver water. Mason kept close, checking for movement. He didn't trust this jungle every few steps. Something hissed or shifted in the shadows. The vines seemed to move even when there was no wind. After an hour, they reached an ancient ruin half buried under the ground. Massive stone pillars covered in green light rose into the fog. Carvings of Thalrian figures wrapped in vines decorated. The walls at the center stood a circular gate of living roots, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Zira stepped forward, touching one of the roots. Her skin glowed brighter. It knows me, she said. Mason swallowed hard. Be careful, Zira. The ground trembled slightly, the roots opening like a doorway, releasing a soft, golden mist. She turned to him, smiling nervously. You humans would call this magic. He chuckled softly. We just call it science we don't understand yet. Without waiting, she stepped through the gate and he followed close behind. Inside, the air was thick with light. The roots formed walls, ceilings, and bridges, all alive and moving slowly. It was like walking inside the veins of the planet itself. Every surface pulsed with gentle light, and soft whispers filled the air. Zira's steps slowed, her glow blending with the environment. They're showing me something, she said quietly. Memories. And what kind of memories? Mason asked. The birth of my people, she replied. Touching a wall, instantly the roots flashed, and images appeared in front of them, like holograms made of energy. They saw ancient Thalrians, taller and more radiant, standing with strange figures in suits, humans. Mason's mouth opened in shock. That's us. Zira nodded slowly, her voice trembling. Your ancestors came here first. They planted the first seeds of my kind. He stared at her. Humans created the Thalrians. Not created, she whispered, shaped, guided, and then vanished. The vision faded. And Zira turned to him. Now I understand. The serum reacted to me because our origins are connected. You did not change me, you awakened me. Mason was speechless. So you're saying this was always meant to happen? Yes, she said softly. But the last time a bloom awakened, it tried to reunite all Thalrians into one mind, and the planet couldn't handle the power. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Mason stumbled, grabbing a vine to stay upright. Zira, what's happening? Her eyes glowed white, her voice echoing unnaturally. The heart root is waking, it feels me, it remembers me. Then stop touching it, Mason shouted. I can't, she gasped. It's pulling me in. Vines wrapped around her wrists and legs, lifting her into the air. Her glow brightened until the whole chamber flashed gold. Mason ran forward, trying to cut the vines with his plasma knife, but every time he sliced one, two more grew. Zira, fight it, she cried out, her voice layered with echoes. Mason! It's not hurting me, it's merging. Her body was surrounded by a sphere of light. Her hair floated upward, her veins glowing like rivers of fire. Mason shielded his eyes as the energy filled the room. His scanner beeped wildly, detecting energy beyond measurable levels. Then suddenly, everything went still. Zira dropped to the ground, unconscious but alive. The vines released her, and the walls pulsed softly as if satisfied. Mason rushed to her side, lifting her gently. Zira, can you hear me? She opened her eyes slowly, glowing brighter than ever before. Her voice was soft but different, deeper, more powerful. I can hear everything, Mason. What do you mean? I can hear the planet breathing, she said, and I can feel your heartbeat. Every life on this world is connected to me now. Mason felt a chill run down his spine. That's incredible. Zira looked at her hands, her glow softening. Incredible or terrifying? I cannot tell. They stepped out of the chamber, but the jungle was no longer quiet. The vines around them moved faster, leaves turning toward her like living eyes. Mason checked his scanner again. The energy field around you is expanding, Zira frowned. The planet is responding to my emotions. Then stay calm, he said quickly. If you panic, this whole forest might. Before he could finish, the ground burst open. A massive vine shot upward, throwing him backward. He hit the ground hard, coughing. Zira! She was standing in the middle of the storm, light pouring from her body. Her voice echoed across the trees. It's too strong, Mason. I can't control it. He tried to reach her, crawling through the dirt and glowing roots. You can. Focus on my voice. Her eyes were wide with fear. I'm not me anymore, Mason. I'm everything. He grabbed her hand, electricity crackling between them. Then let everything remember who you are, he said. You're Zira, the one who laughs at humans. The one who hates coffee? The one who threatened to bury me under vines? Her breath hitched, and for a moment the storm slowed. Her glow dimmed slightly. Keep talking, she whispered weakly. You're the girl who drinks lab water thinking it's tea, he said, forcing a smile. And the one who called me a stupid human. The light softened. The vines retreated slowly, and the jungle calmed. Zira fell into his arms, her glow fading back to normal. You saved me, she murmured. He shook his head. You saved yourself. As they looked up, the clouds above split, revealing a river of blue light in the sky. The planet seemed to exhale softly, as if satisfied, but deep beneath the soil, something vast moved, slow and aware. Zira closed her eyes, leaning against him. This is only the beginning, she whispered. The planet knows I'm awake now. Mason looked at her glowing skin and the living jungle surrounding them. Then we'll face whatever comes next, together. The jungle pulsed once more, like a giant heart answering them, and somewhere far below, the ancient heart root stirred again, waiting for its chosen bloom to return. The jungle was no longer quiet. The air buzzed with a strange rhythm, and the ground beneath Mason's boots pulsed faintly. Every leaf, every root, every flower seemed to move toward Zira as if drawn by invisible threads. Her glow was brighter than ever, lighting the dark forest like a living lantern. Mason followed behind, his scanner blinking red. Zira, the readings are unstable, he warned. Your energy levels are spiking again. Zira turned slightly, her silver skin shimmering with gold veins. I can't stop it, she said, her voice trembling. The planet feels me now. It's like it's breathing through me. They reached a clearing where a massive ancient tree towered over the jungle. Its roots spread like a web across the entire valley. The trunk was covered in moving vines that pulsed softly with light. It was the heart root, the oldest living being on Nuvora, and it was awake. Zira stepped forward, unable to resist. Mason grabbed her wrist. Don't get too close, he said firmly. She looked at him, her eyes glowing like twin stars. I have to, it's calling me, Mason. The vines on the ground started to move. Slithering toward her feet like snakes, Mason tried to pull her back. But the vines wrapped around his legs too. Zira, it's reacting to you. He shouted. I know, she gasped. But it's not angry, it's curious. Suddenly, a massive rumble shook the forest. Trees bent and the ground split open, revealing streams of glowing blue sap flowing beneath. Mason stumbled, covering his face as light burst from the earth. The planet itself was responding. Zira was lifted off the ground, her arms spread wide. Her voice echoed unnaturally. It's speaking, Mason. The heart root says the cycle must complete. What cycle? He yelled over the roaring wind. The bloom and the root must merge or the world will die. Her glow intensified, waves of energy spreading outward. Vines wrapped around the massive tree and around Zira at the same time. Merging her energy into it, Mason watched in horror as the entire forest began to shift. Flowers opened instantly, trees grew taller, and the ground itself began to breathe. From the sky, the research station's alarms went off, detecting abnormal growth spreading across miles of terrain. Commander Holt shouted over the comms, Mason! What's happening down there? The forest is consuming itself. Mason yelled back. It's Zira. The planet is reacting to her energy. If we stop her now, we might kill her and the planet both. He turned off the communicator and ran forward. The vines tried to stop him, wrapping around his arms, but he fought through, pulling a small energy capsule from his belt. If I can link her pulse with a power stabilizer, he muttered, reaching her. He pressed the capsule against her back. A flash of light exploded, connecting her bioenergy field with the stabilizer. Zira screamed as the feedback hit her, but the violent storm began to slow. Mason, she whispered weakly. You shouldn't have done that, the connection. It's spreading to you now, he winced, feeling his veins burn, blue light crawling up his arms. Then we'll share it, he said through gritted teeth. We'll balance it together. The glow around them began to change. No longer wild or violent, but steady. The heart root pulsed gently, its massive vines softening their hold. The trees stopped shaking, the air turned calm again. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then Zira collapsed. Mason caught her before she hit the ground. Her breathing was shallow but steady. The golden glow on her skin dimmed, replaced by a soft green hue. He brushed her hair away from her face. "You did it," he whispered. She opened her eyes slightly. "No, we did it," she said weakly. But before Mason could respond, a deep voice echoed all around them. It wasn't human or alien, it was the planet itself. "The balance is restored, but not yet complete." Mason looked around, panic in his eyes. "Who's there?" Zira's eyes glowed faintly. "It's the heart root," she whispered. "It says we've only delayed the cycle." The sky above darkened as clouds swirled. The ground pulsed again. This time the energy wasn't just around them, it was spreading outward, reaching the oceans, the mountains, even the orbiting station. Mason's scanner blinked a warning. Planet-wide energy surge detected. He turned to Zira. "Can you stop it?" She shook her head. "I can't stop nature, Mason. I can only guide it." Vines began to move again, but this time not toward her. Toward him. They coiled around his arms gently, glowing faintly blue. "What are they doing?" he asked. Zira's eyes widened. "They're choosing you. The heart root wants a bond with the human who carries its energy." "I'm not built for this," Mason shouted, trying to pull free. "You are," she said softly, "because you care for what you don't understand." The vines merged into his skin and pain shot through him like lightning. He fell to his knees, gasping, his vision blurred. He could see flashes, stars, ancient humans planting seeds on alien soil. Thalrians being born from glowing cocoons. He saw Zira's people spreading across Nuvora and the planet watching. Always alive, always waiting, then everything went white. When Mason opened his eyes again, the forest was calm. Zira knelt beside him, her hand on his chest. "You're alive," she whispered. He groaned softly. "Barely," she smiled, relief washing over her face. "The heart root accepted you." He blinked. "Accepted me for what?" "As its guardian," she said. "You're part of Nuvora now." Mason looked at his hand, faint green light pulsing under his skin. He could feel the forest breathing with him. "Zira, what does this mean?" "It means you're no longer just human," she said. "You're connected to my world like I am." He looked at her, her soft glow reflecting in his eyes. "Then I guess we're both freaks now." She laughed quietly. "Then we belong together, freak." Above them, the jungle shimmered like an ocean of light. The heart root's voice echoed once more, softer this time. "Two hearts, one bloom, one world." Zira took Mason's hand, their fingers intertwining. The vines around them bloomed into hundreds of glowing flowers. And as they stood there surrounded by the living forest, they didn't know that their bond had just rewritten the destiny of two species. Far away in the orbiting station, the scientists watched the surface of Nuvora glowing like a star. Commander Holt whispered in awe, "What in the universe did those two just do?" Down in the jungle, Mason smiled faintly. "Saved it," he said as the planet pulsed once more in quiet. Living harmony. The sun of Nuvora rose slowly, casting golden light through the green mist of the jungle. The air shimmered with life, and every leaf seemed to hum softly. Zira opened her eyes and felt the warmth of the planet running through her veins. She was alive, but she was not the same as before. Her connection to the heart root still pulsed inside her chest, calm but powerful. Beside her, Mason sat quietly, staring at his hands. The faint green light still glowed under his skin. He flexed his fingers, feeling the pulse of the soil beneath him as if the planet's heartbeat matched his own. "I can hear it," he said quietly. "The rhythm of the planet." Zira smiled weakly. "Then you are truly bonded now, Mason. The heart root accepted you as its protector." He looked at her, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "I didn't plan on becoming a plant." She laughed softly, her laughter like wind through leaves. "You humans never plan anything. You just rush into danger." The air grew still for a moment, and both of them felt a shift. The vines around them trembled, and a low hum echoed through the forest. Zira's smile faded. "The planet is restless again." Mason stood up quickly, scanning the area. "Is it another surge?" She shook her head slowly. "No, something else is coming, from deep within the forest." Glowing shadows began to move. Dark shapes, twisted and unfamiliar, crawled out from the ground. They were like corrupted roots, black and sharp, dripping with blue sap. Zira's eyes widened. "No, those are corrupted growths. The planet is fighting itself." Mason aimed his wrist scanner. "They're spreading fast, like infection." The creatures hissed, moving toward them. Mason pulled his plasma pistol and fired. The energy blasts burned holes through the twisted vines. But more kept coming. Zira raised her hands, her glow flaring bright. Roots erupted from the ground, wrapping around the corrupted ones, crushing them. The air filled with burning light and smoke. When it was over, Mason caught his breath. What the hell were those? Zira's voice was heavy. They are born when the balance fails. The planet creates them to protect itself, but now they see us as the threat. He frowned. So even the planet doesn't trust us anymore. She looked down, her eyes glowing softly. It doesn't understand yet, it only knows power. Not love. They walked deeper into the forest. Following a faint energy trail, Mason's steps were heavy, the green glow on his arms spreading to his chest. Zira, this bond, it's growing. I can feel things I shouldn't, I can feel. You? She glanced at him, her cheeks glowing faintly pink. Our connection is merging. The heart root links all life that it trusts. You and I are one heartbeat now. He stopped walking. One heartbeat. Yes, she said softly. If you die, I die too. He looked at her for a long time, the weight of her words sinking in. Then I'll make sure neither of us dies, he said firmly. They reached the edge of a cliff. Below them was a valley filled with glowing rivers and massive root structures twisting into the clouds. At the center was something huge, a dark pit surrounded by golden vines. The heartroot's core. Zira's eyes filled with awe and fear. That's where the cycle ends or begins, Mason looked at her. So what do we do? She took a deep breath. We have to merge the energy completely, human and Thalrian, or Nuvora will collapse. He frowned. Merge? You mean, yes, she interrupted. We have to combine our life force. It's the only way to balance the heart root again. Mason stepped closer, his heartbeat syncing with hers. He could feel her emotions, her fear, her courage, even her blush. Zira, if this goes wrong, you'll... She placed a glowing finger on his lips. No more words, human, you've already risked everything for me. Let me share the burden now. She reached out both hands and Mason took them. A wave of energy exploded between them. The ground shook. The vines around them lit up with blinding light, and the air turned thick with energy. Zira closed her eyes, whispering in her native tongue. The heart root responded, sending pulses through the ground like thunder. Mason felt his body being pulled apart. His mind filled with visions. He saw stars being born, human ships landing on Nuvora centuries ago, the first Thalrians rising from the soil. He saw Zira's face among the stars, glowing, crying, smiling. You were always meant to exist, he whispered through the pain. Zira's voice echoed inside his mind. Mason, hold on to me. I'm trying, he gasped, his voice trembling. It hurts like hell. It's not pain, she said softly. It's rebirth. Their light merged, swirling into one golden beam that reached up to the clouds. The entire jungle froze, animals and plants bowing as if in worship. From the orbiting station, the scientists gasped as the planet's surface glowed brighter than the sun. Inside the light, Zira and Mason stood at the center, their bodies made of shimmering energy. Mason reached out, touching her face. Zira, he whispered, if this is the end, I'm glad it's with you. Her eyes filled with tears. No, Mason, it's not the end, it's the beginning. The light exploded outward, and then everything went silent. When the light faded, they stood together on the quiet forest floor. The pit was gone, replaced by a massive glowing tree reaching to the sky. The heart root had been reborn. Its light spread across the planet, healing every wound. Zira leaned against him, weak but smiling. You did it, he chuckled softly. We did it. The green glow on his skin began to fade, replaced by faint golden patterns. I guess I'm half plant now, he joked. She laughed quietly. You wear it well. Above them, the sky cleared for the first time in centuries. 2 moons shone together, and the jungle sang with new life. The planet was alive again, and so were they. Mason looked at her. You said the heart root links those it trusts, right? She nodded slowly. Yes. Then maybe it didn't just save us, he said. Maybe it wanted us to save each other. Zira's blush deepened, her glowing hand resting on his chest, feeling the steady rhythm beneath. You humans always ruin serious moments, she whispered. He grinned. And yet you keep me around. They stood there under the shining moons, the wind whispering softly through the leaves. For the first time, the planet of Nuvora was calm. The storm had passed, and 2 hearts and 1 human, one alien beat together as one, and though neither spoke it aloud, both knew this bond was forever, as eternal as the roots beneath their feet. The days after the great merging felt like a dream. The jungle no longer whispered with pain but sang softly with peace. The skies were clear, the air was bright, and every leaf shimmered with gentle light. Mason woke up each morning feeling the pulse of the planet inside him, a quiet heartbeat that matched his own. He had become something more than human. But he didn't feel alien either. He felt whole. Zira watched him from the edge of the great tree that had risen from the heart root. Her silver skin now glowed with golden lines that flowed like gentle rivers under her skin. She looked peaceful, stronger, and yet her eyes softened whenever they met his. "You are still strange to me," she said one morning as he joined her near the glowing roots. He smiled. "And you're still glowing like a sunrise." She rolled her eyes but couldn't hide the small blush that spread across her face. Humans never stop flirting, do they? "Not when the person they're talking to looks like the heart of a planet," he teased. They laughed together, a sound that mixed with the soft hum of Nuvora itself. But beneath the peace, both of them knew their lives had changed forever. They were no longer just a human and an alien. They were the new bond between two worlds, and that meant new responsibilities. When they returned to the research station, everyone stared in silence. The lights flickered as Zira stepped through the door. The scanners couldn't even read her energy levels anymore. Commander Holt was speechless. "Lieutenant Mason, what exactly happened down there?" Mason smiled faintly. "We fixed the planet," Zira added calmly. "And the planet fixed us." The commander frowned. "You're both different." Mason looked at his hands, the faint green veins still glowing softly. "Different isn't always bad, sir." For the first time, the humans and Thalrians on the station stood together in quiet awe. The long conflict of mistrust between species faded in that moment. They saw not monsters or mistakes, but a miracle. Over the next few weeks, Zira and Mason worked together to help balance Nuvora's energy. She guided the roots and vines, while he stabilized the human systems to adapt to the new flow of life energy. The once dying soil of Nuvora now grew endless fields of bioluminescent crops, enough to feed colonies for decades. But at night, when the lights dimmed and the station fell silent, Mason would find Zira standing near the observation window, staring at the glowing world below. "You miss it down there, don't you?" he would ask softly. She nodded. "The planet whispers to me even from here. It calls me Bloom, but it also says another name now." "What name?" She looked at him, her voice gentle. "Guardian." Mason walked closer. "Then we're both guardians." She smiled softly. "Two guardians from two different stars." They stayed like that for a while, just listening to the hum of the station and the soft echo of life below. There was no fear now, only calm. One evening, the Thalrian elders arrived on the station. They looked at Zira with reverence instead of suspicion. Their leader bowed deeply. "The bloom of Nuvora has awakened, and she stands beside a human. We once thought your kind brought only chaos, but perhaps chaos was what we needed to grow." Zira bowed back, her voice calm and proud. "I am not above my people, I am part of them. The heart root gave me power not to rule, but to protect." Mason stood beside her, silent but steady. The elder turned to him. "And you, human, carry the pulse of our world within you. You are bound to Nuvora now, forever." He smiled slightly. "I can live with that after the ceremony." Zira walked with Mason to the edge of the viewing deck. The stars stretched endlessly across the sky. She looked at him quietly. "You could still leave, you know. The humans will return to Earth one day. You could go back." He shook his head. "Earth is beautiful, but it never called my name like this place does." She raised a brow. "You are sure it is the planet calling and not me?" He grinned. "Maybe both." Her cheeks glowed pink, and she muttered, "Stupid human." He laughed. "That's me." The next morning, Zira led Mason down to the surface again. They stood before the great tree that had replaced the heart root. Its light reached high into the sky. Touching the clouds, birds sang, rivers glowed, and the air was filled with new life. Zira placed her hand on the trunk. "The planet is alive again. It will grow stronger each year." Mason nodded. "And so will we." She turned to him, her voice soft. "Do you ever regret it? Losing your normal life, becoming part of this world?" He looked at her for a long moment, then smiled. "Not for a second. If I hadn't come here, I never would have met you. Her expression softened and she took a slow breath. You know, Mason, when I first met you, I thought you were the most foolish creature in the galaxy, he chuckled. And now? Now, she said with a small smile, I think you might be the bravest. The wind moved gently through the glowing leaves, scattering petals that shone like stars around them. Mason reached out and took her hand. You know, Zira, if someone told me I'd fall in love with an alien who nearly destroyed a planet, I'd have called them crazy. She tilted her head, smiling softly, and if someone told me a human would save me from myself, I would have laughed. They stood there, their hands glowing faintly where they touched as night fell. The great tree began to shimmer with thousands of lights. Each one was a memory, every moment of growth, pain, and love shared between the planet and its children. Zira looked up and whispered, It's beautiful. Mason nodded. It's alive. They sat beneath the tree, the stars reflecting in Zira's eyes. She leaned her head against his shoulder and closed her eyes. You know, human, she said softly, even after all this, I still blush when I think about how this began. He laughed quietly. You mean the part where you drank my serum and thought I cursed you? Her face glowed red instantly. Don't remind me. He smiled, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. That was the day everything started. The planet pulsed once more, a soft golden light spreading across the horizon. Nuvora was breathing peacefully now, healed, alive, and full of hope. And as the night wind whispered through the leaves, Zira whispered too, her voice full of warmth and quiet laughter. Every single time, human, every single time I think of you, I still can't stop blushing. Mason smiled at her words, the stars shining above them. Then I guess the universe really does have a sense of humor, he said softly. And under the twin moons of Nuvora, where light and life danced as one, the human and the alien bloom sat together, not as experiments, not as accidents, but as the living proof that two hearts from two worlds could become one forever.